Super Bowl odds out right now, and you pass this along, the Niners are the betting favorite at plus 550, followed by Kansas City at plus 600. Then there's a drop-off. Baltimore at 950, then another little drop-off. Detroit and Cincinnati at plus 1,300.
Along with Buffalo.
Why the gap between the Niners at plus 550 and the Lions at plus 1,300? Betting markets are a mix of perception and reality. People are betting what they think. It's a reflection of the market, but the lines move in conjunction with what risk the book is willing to take on. Either they are very confident in the Niners, or no one's betting the Lions, or a combination. Explain the gap. 248-539-9797. Because the two teams played in the NFC title last year. Lions kicked their ass in the first half, lost it in the second half, but went toe-to-toe with San Francisco in their house. Explain the gap being as large as it is right now.
I've thought a lot about this, and I don't know, maybe they're just giving you a great opportunity right now. I know you love value.
Value!
And maybe they're just giving you great value in picking the Lions right now at plus 1,300. But I think the Lions go toe-to-toe with them in terms of their roster. And I might even give the edge to the Lions right now. And having said that, if that's what I think, and everybody thinks that they're right there toe-to-toe at the very least, what's the difference? What's the difference maker? It's got to be the coaching staff. And whether you or I believe it or not, Kyle Shanahan has been to the Super Bowl twice. He has proven that he can at least get there. He's been there another time as a coordinator, lost all 3 times. So he hasn't proven that he can get over the hump and actually win the Super Bowl.
Blown leads in all 3 of them.
Yeah, but in terms of getting there, and I'm curious as to, do the gamblers not like a gambler? I mean, the irony in that is very thick. So is it the fact that they don't like it, that to win some games or to put some games away, Dan Campbell's been willing to take some gambles and step outside the norm of traditional, hey, it's 4th and 3, we're going to punt, or, and whether it's a fake punt and they convert, or it's 4th and 2, you go for it, but you don't because a guy dropped the ball. It wasn't the coach's call. It was the fact that it was not executed. Like, there's a lot of different ways you spin this, but the fact of the matter is Dan Campbell does take some gambles, and it may be backed up by analytics.
But does it make you uneasy?
And I got to believe
you
it
being
is
that the average sports bettor who's moving this markets, or the books that's setting the numbers. Maybe I just view it so differently that I don't think of it that way. I look at Shanahan as a guy who made an all-time gaffe in the Super Bowl with whether or not to take the ball in overtime, give Mahomes the instructions on how to win the game. It felt malpractice. Stoney's ordered to be malfeasance, but it felt like he botched that in the Super Bowl. And I think you could be questioning Dan Campbell's 4th down decisions, but I think they were backed sound logic. Short yardage, catch the effing ball. We got the personnel, the offensive line, the mentality. We convert these 4th and shorts because of the team we are. We're here because of those decisions. Those weren't decisions that I thought cost the Lions the NFC title game. And there will be people that will fight about that till the end of time. But I think Dan Campbell helped a lot more than he hurt. I think Kyle Shanahan in some big spots has clenched up not once, not twice, but 3 different Super Bowls. So I don't view him as that doesn't explain the gap to me. And maybe the gap is we're in Detroit and I'm a Lions fan and I'm excited about my team, but I think they've backed it up. I think they're every bit as good as the Niners are this season, but that's not the way the markets have reflected it. So what's up? 248-539-9797. I mean, is it that the Niners match up better in the Super Bowl? Like the Lions didn't fare well against the Ravens last year. We don't know what the Chiefs rematch would have looked like with Kelsey. We don't know about Burrow with a reimagined offensive line. If you can't get pressure on good quarterbacks and you have to blitz them, will a good quarterback win out in the Super Bowl against the Lions? Is that maybe something, or is that? I'm trying to look for an explanation here, John.
No, I understand you're fishing for it, and it's. I really believe that it comes down to the Niners have proved that they can at least get to the Super Bowl. The Lions haven't. The Lions have only done it for one season in the last 30 years. Some of it's track record, some of it's history. That's got to be a part of it. And in terms of matching up with the other side in the AFC, I think the big question will be in terms of Kansas City. Can they beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl? I don't know. I'd really like to see it. They beat them to start the season last year. Can they beat Baltimore in that position? I don't know, because they got rolled by Baltimore last year in Baltimore. Cincinnati, that's kind of the one where I'm looking at going, do I think that the Lions have a better roster? Sure. But can they actually do it when it matters most? That's going to be the big question. And it's, yes, they have improved. The Lions have improved being able to defend the pass, we think.
Yeah.
On paper, on the additions that they've made in the secondary, the development of some young players. I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to continue to improve. Can they get pressure aside from him? Do they have to blitz to get pressure? All of those different things. But I think the big thing is going to be the big question that needs to be answered, and it's going to have to answered in division, but also with some of the quarterbacks they play. Can they defend a mobile quarterback?
Right. Brock, a couple of those third downs in the NFC title game.
Extended the play.
Yeah, Lamar and the head-to-head meeting in the regular season.
Yeah, there's no more mobile quarterback than Lamar Jackson.
Or a team I think is a real threat, the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. I mean, these are questions they're going to answer. They won't face the Eagles in the regular season, but these are the type of questions that they have to solve to win a Super Bowl.
I'm not that surprised that the Niners have these odds, because I think, they're protecting themselves. If things go right for the Niners and they don't suffer pretty significant injuries, they're going to be really good again.
But everything went right for them last year. They didn't win the Super Bowl.
I know. And then that's the thing about these odds this year. We're in June now. I'm a little surprised how reflective these odds are of last year's standings. The only team that's in it in like the top 8 or 9 that's a little out of place from the standings last year is the Bengals, and we know why. They still went 9-8, and Burrow missed,
7 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy to explain why people are high on them. Yeah,
and he's the only guy that's beaten Mahomes in the playoffs that plays in the NFL right now, by the way.
He's beat him a couple times.
Yeah, so, I get that. I just feel like I'm a little surprised the Lions' odds aren't better. It's not that the Niners are where they're at, more so than the Lions are all the way back at 1,300.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, is when you look at the Green Bay Packers at plus 1,900, all right, the Lions are at plus 1,300. That gap is smaller between those two teams than it is between San Francisco and Detroit.
But should it be?
Well, okay, but then which division is tougher? The North is tougher to John's investigative work there. That may be some of it.